What is up? What is up, everybody? Happy St. Paddy's Day. Got the room all greened out, wearing a little green. It's not the brightest green, I know, but it's pretty much the only green shirt I own. So we're going to roll with it. But we're going to taste some great whiskeys this evening. Hello, how you doing? I know it's a little later. It's a later live stream tonight. I had rehearsal all day today, a doubleheader rehearsal for concerts tomorrow night and Saturday night with the Columbus Symphony. And it was just, we were just going, I don't know, a million miles a minute. So I'm exhausted right now. I'm ready to sit down and have a sip with all of you. I know this is kind of a pop-up. I didn't get a thumbnail up. I do apologize, but it's going to be a fun stream nonetheless. So cheers. Let me know when you guys jump in here. Say hello. It'd be good to see some of your faces popping up in the chat. Let me know what you're sipping on. Whew, happy St. Paddy's Day. Let's have a little alcohol. I'm already spilling. I haven't even had a drink yet. So cheers. And as usual, always starting the stream off with an Eagle Rare store pick. Undervalued. Well, not at secondary prices, but undervalued. Really good stuff for what it is. Great sipper, great start to the evening kind of pour. Let's talk about some things real quick. First and foremost, sorry, last week I had to can the stream at the last minute. I'm on the tail end of being sick right now. I just got a little something still going on in here, but I can smell and taste just fine. Last Wednesday, basically, I was like, holy shit, I am so sick. I can't do anything. And I was hoping I might come out of it and not go fully down the sick road. There was no hope. So I had to cancel last week. That was going to be a blind flight against Trev, the bourbon wrench from Amy Bohm. We're going to be doing that next week, next Thursday. Sorry, 2 Thursdays from now. 2 Thursdays from now on the 31st, I believe. So that is what's going on in 2 weeks. Next week, no Thursday night live stream. I have a humongous show on the 26th, which is Saturday, and I need all my marbles with me. Okay, I'm frantically learning music right now for this big solo show, and I might post in the Patreon and show you guys some of the stuff I'm working on. But it's some intense stuff. Anyways, let me say hello to a few people. I'll let you know what we're doing tonight. Top Dog, thanks for jumping in. We got 8 in here right now. I know the likes are probably live. Someone let me know if you guys know what's going on. I saw something about Dan had to get staples in his head today. What's the deal with that? I've been kind of offline over the last 12 hours, so I don't know what's going on today, but that sounds crazy. I know people are probably hanging out there. Drew P. Whiskey, Clifton's probably live. So, it's a Thursday night. But if you're going to spend your time here or jump between, I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you choosing to hang out here. So Top Dog, what is up? Univpoke in the house. We got Paul M. Happy St. Paddy's Day. Oh, nice. Daniel P. Good to see you, man. Daniel, I'm going to be sipping on the Moscatel finish that you just sent my way. Thank you for that. Oh, my goodness. Colin, good to see you, man. Daniel P. Redbreast 27 here tonight. I've got the sample of that you sent me, and I'm going to be sipping that tonight as well. So that is exciting. Oh, what's up, Matt Porter? Hey, man. I've got your Lucky 7. It's going to be coming very soon. Very, very soon. I'm going to pack that up tomorrow. I'm going to pour you some samples for the 1 ounce Wednesday stuff. I think I'm going to send you 6 or 8. So it's either 6 or 8 samples, but all my old granddad Dusties, King of Kentucky, Evan Williams 23. So I'll send you a list of what those are and make sure that you don't have them so there's no overlap. But I want to send you some good stuff, man. Jared, what is up? I owe your pops some samples, which I have poured out here. I just need to connect with you. I'm so sorry. I will connect with you and get those over. And there is the man of the hour, Ernest Riley. Good to see you, man. Sipping on another Eagle Rare store pick. And Mark, well, Mark, have you already been drinking tonight? If you've already been drinking tonight, it's time to up the proof. It's always time to up the proof. But if you have not been drinking tonight, I don't know, go something around like 90, 95 to get it started. I don't have a bunch of Irish whiskey. I do have these samples I'm going to sip on today. You know, it is the day to drink some Irish whiskey if you so choose. Even Scotch, you know, go down a little different path. But otherwise, yeah, go with something a little lower proof, something more delicate, and start the night off. Good grief. I read this in your voice, Matt, in my head. DC says, Dan Light got attacked by a spider monkey that escaped from a local sanctuary. 8 staples. That's a lot of staples. I've never had staples in my head. I've had plenty of stitches, you know, plenty of flesh wounds, but never staples in the head. That doesn't sound great. Mark 1910. Good choice, man. That actually sounds really good. I might pour a little bit of the new 1910. I have it over here. Let me join you on that. Let me join you on the new 1910. Just sounds so good. All right. Oh, man. I used to hate this stuff, and I can't believe it because it's so good. Let's talk about what I'm going to be sipping on tonight. Jordan Lopez, is that the Bourbon Junkies pick hiding back there? We pop in that tonight. Which pick? I only have one Bourbon Junkies pick. I'm in such a low tier on the Patreon. I unfortunately never get their picks. I think I only have a Penelope, just a regular Penelope private blend. Not even the toasted sounded cool, but I haven't really gotten anything else. Oh, the barrel. No, the barrel is Matt Porter's pick. So we are going to be getting into that tonight. Let me tell you guys what we're doing. All right. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do Irish first or Irish second. So if you have any preference in the chat, please let me know. I feel like my palate after drinking high proof American whiskey and then going to Irish might not be the best move. So maybe I should start Irish, but let me know what you think. So this is what I've got on the American whiskey side of this evening. I have the Mash and Journey Sagamore Spirit Rye pick that they did. I've had like one itty bitty sip off of this, and I promptly ordered a backup because they had some more extras available. So I'm gonna pop this at some point tonight. Speaking of rye whiskey, the Cream of Kentucky Bottled in Bond Rye I have right here. So I will get into that. And then moving on to bourbon, gotta not forget this. I have Barrel Batch 32. Barrel sent this sample along. A lot of people have been getting these like in the last week or so, a lot of whiskey tubers and Instagrammers. So I have Batch 32 right here. I will get into this a little bit, but I got to save enough, for review, obviously. Speaking of barrel, we have Matt Porter's barrel pick. Again, I've had like one little sip, and I just wanted to save analyzing it for a live stream. And then here's an interesting one, which maybe is the sleeper of the bunch. It's a Woodinville distillery exclusive, I believe. It's a Moscatel finished. All right. So these do not come around often, this kind of finish. I know you see some High West. You have the Muscat Mustel Bardstown from 2017, which is delicious, but it's not a super common finish. And Daniel P in the chat sent me one of these and a backup. Thank you so much, man. And we're going to get into that this evening as well. So Irish first. So we're going to start with Irish first, says the chat. Big League Bourbon. I have the Storytime picks back here. I do have them. So I'm going to put them up here. I don't know if we'll get to them. Here's the deal, guys. Usually Friday mornings when it's an orchestra week for me, I have, look at all these freaking bottles. Usually on Friday mornings, I have a dress rehearsal. Tomorrow I don't. So I don't have anything tomorrow until 7:30 p.m. But I'm going to try to play it a little safe. I don't want to wake up totally hungover tomorrow. Let's check the chat, guys. So Big League Bourbon, maybe getting into these Storytime picks. I've had one little sip of these as well the other night. Interesting stuff. The bottles are deceiving on these. the kind of plain, the Jepson's bottles. Let's see. Oh, Whiskey Knows. What's up? Cheers. I'm going to have a sip of this 1910 with Mark. Oh, Nice. All right, let me reorganize the table, and then we're going to get into some Irish whiskey first. And let me tell you what samples I have. Let's see. All righty. Get this out of the way. Matt Porter. What is Matt Porter saying? My brother dropped a claw hammer off a porch when we were little. I was at the bottom of a hill and it stuck to my head. Look how good I am, though. You know, Matt, they say that traumatic brain injuries can kind of jolt somebody, and you know, maybe that's when ADHD whiskey was born, was after the claw hammer incident. Jordan Lopez, I haven't tried any of these besides these two, so I don't know much about them on, you know, the kind of barrels they're picking or whatever else. Yeah, I know, right? It's cool, man. I honestly haven't kept up on the story time stuff. I do apologize. You know, I've been just trying to get by right now with the channel, unfortunately, but I really appreciate it. I'm excited to get into these. Mark, yes, I did try that on a Patreon stream months and months ago, but I still have most of that sample. That would be fun. If I could collect enough tequila samples, I would absolutely make that stream happen. Okay. So Irish whiskey, let's talk. We're going to start with some aged low proof Irish whiskey. I have from Lido Cortez. I don't know if Lido's in the house, but I have a 21 Redbreast. And then from Daniel, I have a Redbreast 27. I actually haven't even tried this 27. It doesn't look like. I've tried the 21. I've had this sample for probably about a year now. So I'm going to get into these two first, a 21 and a 27-year Redbreast. And then we're going to do a three-way flight right after that with Redbreast small batch, 117.4 proof, Blue Spot, batch, I think it's batch one. I know that some new Blue Spot is dropping now. Got Blue Spot, Redbreast small batch, and then Redbreast cask strength 12-year. So a three-way flight there right after the 21 and 27. And then we will get into all of the American whiskeys, as many as my body can handle this evening, like I talked about. All right. So let me know what you guys are sipping on. If you are drinking Irish whiskey, that's something that I have not explored quite enough yet, for good reason. My wallet. That's the reason. All right. I want to save myself a little bit of these samples so I can do a video review. And we're going to get into it. So, yeah, I'm not like, you know, I'm not the biggest Irish whiskey person. I'm not so familiar with the profiles, unfortunately. So this will be really good for me. I know I've had a hard time describing them on here in the past when I've sipped some samples. And so, yeah, we'll kind of see how this goes. Over here, we have the 21-year. All right. And then over here, we have the 27-year Redbreast. So let's check this out. I'm very curious about this. What is up, Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans? Thanks for popping in here. All right. So I'm using these kind of smaller stemmed glasses. I always use these for Scotch, but I think with a low proof Irish whiskey, it's going to be better to kind of project the aromas, you know, out of the glass a little bit. Right away, it's really, really light on the nose. And I know coming off 1910 might not be the best thing to do, but yeah, I get a little bit of like a sour apple, kind of sour apple Jolly Rancher. It's not like distinctly candy, but it's that kind of that sour green fruit, almost like apple peel, you know, a little bit of that bitterness, but sweet, bright. This has a little bit of a mustiness to it, like an outdoor. I wouldn't know how to describe that. Almost like you kind of walked into your basement and your basement's a little bit damp or humid. And I don't say that in a bad way. There's definitely some vanilla bean in here. And now as I'm nosing it more, it's starting to come out of the glass a little bit more obviously. I'm starting to get red fruits. Okay, now the fruitiness is now exploding out of the glass. So I felt like up front, this was a little closed off. I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience with Irish whiskey. That seems to be like every time I go in to nose this stuff, it's like, is there anything there? And then after a while, it's like, oh, okay, there it is. Maybe it's because these are extra aged. They need a little time to air out. I don't know. Yeah, and one thing I've been picking up a lot more recently in barrel products, actually, specifically batch 32, which we will hopefully get into tonight. I've been like more sensitive to tropical fruits like pineapple on my nose, on my palate. So I am getting something tropical in here as well. So let me taste it and then I'll come back to it. Wow. Guys, and I'll get to the chat here in just a second. But wow. The palate on that, you would not expect. 92 proof. That drinks well beyond 92 proof for me. That feels like around 100. Fantastic presence on the palate. And the spice profile on this 21 year does not feel too old. Sometimes with scotches, you get to a point where things are just diminishing returns. Not the case here. This is fantastic. I'm starting to get a little bit of like, what's that drink? Not Sprite, not 7-Up. What are some other lemon lime drinks? Like, is there one called Squirt, or am I just being gross? I'm getting something along those lines. This kind of effervescence, this lemon lime. Matt, those extra aged Redbreasts are all grapefruit. That might be what I'm missing here. Oh man, the power of suggestion. Now on the nose now, that is like all I can get. That kind of encapsulates a lot of what I was trying to say, which is like this lemon lime or this spritziness. It almost reminds me of like sparkling grapefruit juice. Wow. But there's also something funky, something musty. It's almost compost. There's almost like a compost note, this vegetal, this green vegetal type thing in here, but not like super fresh. It's a little bit like compost, like it's just sat for a while and it's just kind of aired out and a little bit gross. Matt, I saw your video about swirling the 21, man. Let's make this dizzy. Wow. That's really, really good. And I'm going to be honest with you, I would not have that expectation for Irish whiskey. 21-year Irish whiskey. That is really nice. I'm going to leave myself just a little bit, and I'm going to move on to the 27 now and compare these side by side. Now, color difference, 27 has much more of a golden, like almost amber hue. This is more of a pale straw type color on the 21. For those of you in the chat, if you guys know if the casking on these, I would be curious to find out if the 27 has more possibly sherry or Madeira or, some kind of wine finish on that, just based on the color. Oh, dude, is it really? Big League Bourbon. Okay, so Squirt is a real soda. I was like, man, am I going to say this? And it's grapefruit flavored. There you freaking go. I actually didn't know that. So, Christopher, I guess it exists, man. And Daniel says Old Redbreast is definitely tropical as well. So, okay. Oh, is Amy in here? What is up, Amy? 2 weeks from now, Amy, I need to send you a message, but I was texting Trev, and he's good for 2 weeks from now on the 31st, I believe, is the date for your blind flight. If you're available that day, then we can book it. Okay, so Redbreast 27 is finished in ruby port casks. Interesting. All right. I tend to like port finish stuff, although sometimes it does get a little sweet for me in different scotches. So let's see. Okay. That I like this much better than the 21. No offense to the 21. Oh my God. So this is actually starting to take on an American whiskey, like a really aged bourbon profile. The way that the wood is coming out of the glass, the oak in here. Holy shit. It has like that vanilla cream note that you get on like the Evan Williams 23, King of Kentucky, some of those ultra aged whiskeys. That vanilla cream is on this Redbreast 27. I did not expect that at all. Oh, man. Oh, sweet, Amy. All right, I'll tell Trev that you're good for it, and we'll lock that in. So 2 weeks from now, Blind Flight Challenge. And, oh, guys, the ADHD Whiskey, the Matt Madness Invitational, my date is set. It is April 15th, the Ides of April, at 11 p.m. Eastern is when I'm going against Clifton and Kira in the quarterfinals, I believe, of the Matt Madness Tasting Invitational. So April 15th, that gives me about a month to train really hardcore, and Sarah has already agreed to pour me lots and lots of flights. All right, let's get into this thing for real now on the nose. So I'm getting like strawberry preserves. That's probably coming from some of that port influence, especially ruby port would make sense. Strawberry preserves. I'm getting vanilla cream, almost like this sort of like strawberries and whipped cream almost. But there is a darker quality to this. There's actually some brown sugars. Again, this has a almost bourbon-y nose to me. I gotta taste this. I feel like this smells almost like bourbon. I feel like I'm going crazy. Oh, and this is 107 proof. That makes a humongous difference. All right. I'm just flabbergasted right now that this smells so bourbon-y to me. Oh, okay. So bourbon and sherry cask. Does it say PX or Oloroso? I would imagine this is feeling more PX sherry to me. And then enriched by the port casks. Yeah, and it would make sense if we go PX sherry, if we go ruby port, kind of the sweeter profiles of all of the wine finishes. Eric, wait, what's up, man? Hey, I was watching some of your videos the other day. The green lights make it look like you're at the bar and a Borg cube. Resistance is futile. I love that reference. Thank you for that. I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad. So, Next Generation. Not the OG, but the Next Generation, which I think is great. Yeah. Wow. Lots of chocolate here, too. Dark chocolate. I mean, like I'm saying, a lot of these brown sugar, dark chocolate, vanilla cream, strawberry preserves. Less of that tropical fruit note, but there's still a little bit of greenness in here, a little bit of that vegetal thing that I get on so many Irish whiskeys. I feel like saying an Irish whiskey is vegetal is the equivalent of saying a Scotch whiskey is malty. It's like, of course it is. It's triple, it's distilled 3 times. It's really stripped down and it makes sense, but wow. I completely understand why people pay so many hundreds of dollars for Redbreast 27 now. I personally would have never given this a second look. I pass it in the store sometimes at MSRP, and I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of a lot, and I don't think I need to buy it. And now I'm scared to pass it at the store for MSRP because I might buy it. All right, quick side-by-side, and then we're going to move on to some cask strength Irish whiskeys to close out the first, I guess, half of the live stream. So, wow, yeah. The 21 now smells much younger, actually, and it's 21 years old, but It's a lot sweeter, a lot more candied actually right now. Yeah, but I actually get a little barrel char on the 21. Some of this charred, almost almost like a campfire, not peated, but like the remnants, the smokiness of a campfire in a way. I get that a little bit on the nose of the 21 now, and I don't know why. I would have never gotten that before this comparison, but it's unlocking it, having it next to the 27. Yeah, but lots of sweetness, honey, more honey coming out of the glass now, a little less tropical fruit, especially after having that 27, which is a total flavor bomb. All right. Wow. That is like a fantastic everyday whiskey, that Redbreast 21. It's probably not affordable as an everyday whiskey, but if I like could drink an Irish whiskey and a profile that I would like to drink every day, that seems to be the direction I would head, you know. The Redbreast Lestau is really good, but it doesn't feel like an everyday. Sherry influence is pretty heavy on that one. Thank you, Amy, for bringing this up. Yes, please please hit that like button, guys. So in April, I know it's 2 weeks away. April, finally, full reviews are going to be coming back on the channel in earnest. I know since I brought the channel back in like mid-December or January, slow going, throwing out a couple of quick sips here and there, doing some live streams. And now I started the weekly dram, which has not been quite so weekly. I've been doing it as my schedule allows. But after my big solo show on the 26th, I've been working behind the scenes all the while on video flow, the production elements, new intro, all this kind of stuff. And so by beginning of April, we're going to be start seeing full reviews rolling back out. I'll have so much more time to sit down and edit them. My camera setup is finally figured out and done. I've got everything locked and loaded, and I'm so excited about it to get this channel, you know, out of kind of the holding pattern that it's been in. So, Daniel, let's check this out, man. Get any mango on the finish of the Redbreast 27. That's the strongest note I get. Interesting. Now, some of the sherry influence in this is much more pronounced as I come back to it now. I'm getting a little bit of this. It's less raisin. It's actually a little bit like a dried cranberry on the nose. I mentioned strawberry preserves earlier. That's certainly still there with those bright vanilla, you know, sweet flavors. But I get like this dried cranberry. I'm still not finding as much tropical fruit in here, Daniel, but let me try it and check out the finish. The spice. That's just a gripping whiskey. Okay, so on the finish, I definitely get more tropical fruit. Mango, yeah, you know, maybe. I guess that is a tropical fruit. But I don't know that I would have picked that up because the spice is so intense as this thing lingers that I'm really just like dialed in on the spice. But if I shift my perception and try to think about what kind of flavors, fruitiness, you know, those types of things, there's definitely some kind of sour tropical fruit there. What a great whiskey, man. What a great whiskey. Wow. Eric, the Blue Spot, let's see, I got that right here. Single pot still was my number 2 in 21. Powers John Lane 12 is a really nice at around 70, and the Bushmills Black Bush is a great value for around $30. Interesting. So I've had the Powers John Lane 12 at a bar before, and I remember really, really liking it. And it seemed like an affordable pour at the bar. I think it was maybe like $12 or something. If bottles are around 70, that's actually not a terrible value for a bar pour. So I'm curious now. I'm going to be excited to try these, Eric. So let's get into it. Let me give you the rundown, guys, of which glass is going to be which. Let me do these by proof. Okay. Cool. So these are actually the same proof, it looks like. All All right, so we're going to start. This is the Redbreast cask strength 12 year, 111.6. Okay, so we got that. Eric, I see your comment. My hands are full. I can't pull it up on the screen. That 27 was a sample sent by Daniel P in the chat here. So yeah, it's expensive. I think MSRP is 400 or 450 maybe. Secondary is obviously about 100 or 150 above that. So it's not cheap. I want to leave enough for a review. Okay. Maybe just enough. Yeah, so it's not cheap. Is it worth that money for me? I don't know. But if you want a special occasion Irish whiskey, that seems to be maybe the direction to go is a 27, if money is no issue. And, you know, it's funny because when stuff is more available like Scotch or, you know, even Irish whiskey, I have a harder time spending a lot of money on that because it just sits there as opposed to like the next limited edition bourbon on secondary. Here I am shelling out $400 for it. You know, it's just a mindset thing. It truly is FOMO. Oh, Lito, what's up, man? I just drank your Redbreast 21 sample. So 500 in Illinois. Daniel P got it for retail. So that's good. You know, that's as good as it gets, basically. All right, so let's start with the Redbreast cask strength 12 year first at 111.6 proof. All right, so let's get into this. And as I go through this, Daniel, I think these are your samples, both Redbreasts, the cask strengths, I think. And then the blue spot is Dave Rosas, and I don't think Dave is in here, but if you guys know any of the stats on like some of, again, the cask finishing on some of these Redbreast or blue spot, let me know in the chat. Ooh. Okay, so yeah, 12 years old, cask strength. This one is very apricot to me. Like apricot brandy specifically. I'm getting a big dose of that on the nose. Oh, what is that note? Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, this smells like IW Harper 15. That if you guys have ever had IW Harper 15, there's this particular kind of oak, like very sweet, musty oak quality. Yes, this Redbreast has that. And it's really, really nice. The way that it's playing with the other flavors in here. There's definitely like an acetone note. The ethanol on here is coming out of the glass like acetone to me. It's a younger cask strength Irish whiskey. I guess you would probably expect something along those lines. Not my favorite part of this, but it is what it is. Cheers. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That is really good. Oh, it's a little over aggressive. You know, a little brash, a little confident, this whiskey. That is so incredibly fruity. And what's really nice about the proof and the spice on this is that it's not pushing alcohol at you the whole time. The spice level in here, which is very high, lots of like white pepper in here, it's pushing all of the fruity notes forward and developing the fruity notes as opposed to just bulldozing everything over and making it a little bit heavy-handed. That is incredible. And I think that's like that's the one of the bunch that is maybe the least sought after is the 12-year cask strength. If that's where we're starting, that's really, really good. Eric, I like a whiskey I can drink and not have to think about how much it's going to cost to replace the bottle. Whoops. It was just an Eagle Rare store pick. Nobody worry. Yeah, I definitely enjoy that. All right. Now on to the Redbreast small batch, 117.4. I feel like now that I'm in Irish whiskey mode, I feel like these things are coming more easily to me. Like I'm understanding them a little bit more than I've ever understood some of these samples that I've tried before or other Irish whiskeys at bars. It's starting to make a little more sense to me now, and I like it. I'm happy about it. Because before, honestly, I just thought that Irish was like something that we hype. Some people hype, but not for a good reason, just because they can get it, and it hasn't really hit that craze that the other whiskeys have hit so far. I'm starting to understand the merits of Irish whiskey now. But it does feel like you could do this wrong very easily. Ooh, okay. So the Redbreast small batch, this is a totally different beast. Yeah, it is a lot darker and more complex on the nose. More spice driven. It's actually got a little bit of like a cinnamon, almost a textured quality to the nose, if that makes any sense. It smells like there's some texture to the whiskey, but much darker, like a particularly evident char note on that. And almost like some sort of dark fruit, like in the plum date type category. Wow. Very different though. And this smells like, to me, it has a little bit more secondary cask finishing in here, maybe. Like there might be maybe some Oloroso sherry. I'd be curious if you guys know what the casking is like for the small batch. But it feels like there's a little more going on in here. Wow. That one is a little more, well, I was going to say delicate, and then that happened. Then it just punched me in the face. That is much fruitier, much more dark fruit, like I said. Rich dark Luxardo cherry, not in a bourbon way. It's in a fresher, more vibrant way. Wow. My God. And it's more tart, a little bit more bitter, but not in a bad way. Daniel P. Spanish sherry and Oloroso sherry for the small batch. Okay, this makes more sense. Eric Waite, I think the revival of Irish whiskey needs about another 5 to 10 years to really show its best. A lot of it is still too young. That makes sense. Yeah. Jordan Lopez, the only drain pour I've ever actually dumped was an Irish whiskey, Busker's single pot still, in my opinion. Low-end Irish just can't compare to the quality of low-end bourbon. And maybe that's why I have a particularly negative, view, or I'm predisposed to think negatively of Irish whiskey. And it might be because of the young, low-end stuff. That might be why. Oh, what's up, Dave, man? Good to see you. Blue Spot is awesome, too. Yeah, I'm almost there, and I'm curious to see how it stacks up. Jared, I wish I had some more Heaven's Door Redbreast finish. I was super surprised. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it would be good, but I trust you that it's very good. Jared, everything, like, I'll tell you this, man. Some of the stuff you gave me when we hung out, I was like, oh, I'm thinking in my head, like, there's no way that this, the Foregate Rye pick, was that It's Bourbon Night, or was that a Mash and Journey pick? It was one of the two, I think. And I was like, there's no way this like 6-year rye is going to be worth $200. And then I tasted it, and it's like, what is happening here? Like all the stuff you recommended, they were all sleepers for me. So I bet that Heaven's Door is phenomenal. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot says a lemon biscuit note on the Redbreast. Yeah. And that's kind of a common note, that idea, that kind of doughy vanilla biscuit quality and the lemon citrus quality. Those are things that I definitely get on these Irish whiskeys in general. It was Mash and Journey. Yeah, what a crazy good pick that was. And we have a Mash and Journey pick to get into tonight. Another Mash and Journey Rye, which is very exciting. Okay, so on to the Blue Spot. 58.7% ABV, which is the exact same, I believe, as the small batch, if my math is good. Yeah, Jared, absolutely. Shout out Scott and Jason. I got to get Jason. I jumped on his stream last night. Was that in? Yeah, that was his live stream last night, not a Patreon stream. I owe him a blind flight. I have to give him a blind flight in the next week. So I was drinking last night when I was like, yeah, like, let me give you a blind flight. So as soon as he said you're on, I was like, I got to write it in my phone reminder so I don't forget when I go to sleep. All right, Blue Spot is up now. This is a 7-year, I believe. All right, a little more alcoholic on the Blue Spot, a little more in your face. And this one is actually a little drier on the nose. I'm getting more young, fresh lumberyard dry wood. I talk about this note in the Land of Bourbon, on Old Forester Barrel Strength, on Booker's, young stuff like that. I'm actually getting that lumberyard wood note. Huh. Yeah, and this one's very honey to me. I'm getting kind of a darker honey. There's a slight red fruit element kind of woven in here, but it's not so obvious to me for whatever reason. Maybe I'm just crazy. There's actually a lot of similarity between this and the Redbreast small batch in terms of that red fruit quality. So the Blue Spot feels a little younger in the sense that all that proof and all that spice, which honestly, I'm really liking the Irish whiskey spice profile. It's very white pepper forward, it seems. I'm getting some white cake notes here on the Blue Spot. White cake with some sort of like red fruit drizzle, And there's definitely like a bouquet of lighter green fruits, maybe pear or kiwi. Like, I don't know. There's something in here like that. But it feels younger because the proof and the spice are pushing themselves forward and not helping to develop the fruitiness and those more kind of luscious syrupy notes, as opposed to the Redbreast, which is really well integrated between the proof, the spice, and the other flavors. Big League says the Mash and Journey pick, we're talking 4 Gates, was 7-year. The Seal Box and Bourbon Night pick were 6-year. Gotcha. And Amy says that Mash and Journey 4-Gate Rye was stupid good. Yes. So I wish I had a bottle of that. I mean, at the time, there's no way I would have had to taste that whiskey before paying $200 for it, because I just didn't have any faith in a $200 bottle of 7-year rye. My mind has changed. 4-Gate, everything I've had from 4-Gate has made me go like, okay, if I see one on the shelf, I'm going to buy it, and it's going to be $200 because it's that good. Keith, I just can't get into Irish whiskey. I have a Redbreast 27, and it's just okay to me. Give me corn-based whiskey. Yeah, the 27 I like, man. I feel like this is a different mindset, though. I don't know the appropriate time. Maybe it's a summer type thing. Maybe Irish whiskey's for the summer because it's a little lighter. I could see that being the case. I don't know that I would find myself reaching for these, but to taste them right now, to really not just do it in a fleeting way, but to have 5 of these in a row, all high quality, considered some of the top semi-available Irish whiskeys, I'm much more convinced now than I ever have been. So if I had to rate these three, the small batch, 12-year cask, Redbreast, and then the Blue Spot, I think hang on. That's so nice. Wow. That Blue Spot is in your face. All right. I would say Redbreast small batch to me is the winner. 12-year cask is right behind it. It's just different, you know? It's just a little lighter, a little more approachable, very just delicate and easy to drink. And then in last place, not because it's bad, just because it feels a little young, is the Blue Spot. But these Redbreast pours, you just can't go wrong with these. I really don't think. That Redbreast 27 is a monster, but I understand we all have our preferences. Yeah, I think if I had a bottle of it, you know, and I could sit down and really spend some time and not worry about, like, for instance, you know, I had a little under half an ounce today when I was sipping it, which is like 3 sips. If I could sit down and spend more time with it and not worry about how much I'm pouring, I think it would really help me get into that whiskey. But in this really small tasting, it's fantastic. But yeah, I don't know that I would want to go out and buy one just yet. I don't know. All right. So all good stuff. Thank you to everybody who did send those samples. You know, I might pour these back in the sample bottles and save them. I want to make sure I didn't move them out of order. Right. All right. Let me pour these back so when I do my video reviews, I have a little bit more of each of them. All right, guys. If you're hanging out tonight, thank you for being here. Hit that like button if you don't mind. Let's get a couple more people in here. I know it's a pop-up live stream, but you know, it's kind of fun to be live a little bit later. It's not 8 p.m. like it is usually. All right. Let me know what you are sipping on this St. Paddy's Day. Dave says, I can send you some if you want. What are you talking about, Dave? And by the way, Dave, thank you for this Blue Spot sample. This is yours right here, I do believe. Yes, I have it on the label that it's from you. Okay, have a little water, and now it's time for some American whiskey. It's time to get into this ADHD barrel pick. It's time to get into the Mash and Journey Sagamore Spirit Rye pick. I got a finished Woodinville, which I'm super excited about, even though I know it's a very limited bottle. And Cream of Kentucky Bottled and Bond Rye, Barrel Bourbon Batch 32. And we got Storytime Jepson's pick. So I don't know how much I can handle, but we're going to see. Jordan joined with that Redbreast 27. Oh, Amy, you got to do the late live stream the one day that you got to get up at 6 a.m. Yeah, tomorrow's the one day that I don't have a 10 o'clock dress rehearsal in the morning, which I know is not early, but at 10 a.m. dress rehearsal, you know, you got to wake up, get the crap out of your eyes, get, you know, awake, drink your coffee, warm up, get to the hall an hour early, you know, and kind of get in performance mode in the morning, which is a little unusual. So I'm glad to not have one tomorrow. Although, you know, when you go into a show, like tomorrow night, we have an orchestra concert and we changed a bunch of stuff tonight and then didn't get a chance to rehearse it because it's like, hey, this is the last run through. Here are all the changes. See you at the concert. So you don't have a chance to kind of lock in those changes, which it can be a little bit scary. Dave says Redbreast cask strength, small batch 15. Oh, the 15. I've had a sample of that. That's really good. 21 Lestat and Blue Spot. Dave, I really appreciate that offer, man. I'm actually covered on all of those, at least for the time being. I still have enough of all of them for reviews, but I really appreciate you offering that. But You know, save those high quality whiskeys and drink them. I will get these reviews out. Guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to blow my nose out of frame, and I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear it. Still getting over being a little bit sick. Give me like 10 seconds. There we go. Okay, back and better. I'm getting a little rosy. Got the red nose, the whole bit. All right, American whiskey time. Let me have a sip of Eagle Rare to recalibrate my palate. Trevor, what's up, man? Glad to see you back live again. Hope you're feeling a lot better. I am feeling. You jumped in right when I was blowing my nose, but I am feeling better. I'm on the tail end of this, whatever this was. It was not COVID round 2. I did test myself a few times. Honestly, with the COVID that's going around now, this was probably worse than the COVID going around now, you know. But it knocked me on my butt for a few days. The blind is scheduled for 2 weeks from tonight. So I think that is the 31st. Let me confirm that. Yeah, 31st of March. Okay. A little more water. Let's clear these glasses. Okay, what do you guys think I should start with? I guess proof low to high is always smart. So maybe we're going to start with, let's do this. Let's start with the Cream of Kentucky Bottled and Bond Rye. Let's just go straight for this rye. And have any of you guys tried this yet? I know this is a fairly new release. Let me know if you've had this in the chat. Okay, let's get into it here. Oh, that is weird. Okay, so as Bottled and Bond goes, 100 proof, at least 4 years old. Let's see what the back label says. This is 100% Ryman Rye, estate grown, distilled, aged, and bottled. Wow. So this is an estate rye from Kentucky Artisan Distillery, which is a distillery I'm not super familiar with. Limited to only 70 barrels. This unique Kentucky Rye whiskey is one of a kind. We want to include a special thank you to Stephen Thompson of Kentucky Artisan. Okay. So no information on age, but it is at least 4 years old. Can't imagine it being much more than that. If you guys will remember, the last rye that was released by Jim Rutledge under his name was the High Plains Rye, which I have a particular relationship with because I was able to sit down with some of the guys from JW Rutledge and taste through the different blends with them that ended up being the, 5 different blends that they had to pick between when they blended High Plains Rye. So I had selfishly, have a connection to that whiskey, and I just like it. I just think it's good. So that's the last one that Jim Rutledge has come out with. So this Bottled and Bond, now because it is Bottled and Bond, this is coming from a single distillery. It's coming from Kentucky Artisan, whereas High Plains was a blend of 5 different ryes from 4 different distilleries, Kentucky Artisan being one of them. So this is a component in that High Plains blend. So there might be some similarities here. I'm not going to compare them today, but we are going to just get into this Cream of Kentucky. First and foremost, look, for 100 proof rye whiskey that's probably only 4 years old, 5, maybe 6 at the most, the color on this is very good. Very dark, goldenrod, more than you would expect from something in this kind of category. So, for what it's worth. Story time. Whoa, is that a set of twins I see? Yes, it is. Whoa. Has anybody tried this? That is one heck of a funky rye whiskey. This takes that whole thing that a lot of people talk about of like that craft whiskey smell. This takes it to the next level. Wow, I don't even know how to start to describe this thing. Like funky, like chocolatey, grain forward. I don't think you would smell this whiskey and go like, "Oh yeah, that's a rye whiskey." Not at all. Like, I mean, you get a little bit of it with like a lemon cake note. It's not a sharp citrus. It's a really rounded out, delicate, gentle citrus note on here. Now I'm getting into a little bit more of like an herbal spiciness. But the backdrop of this whiskey is grain funkiness and yeah, that craft heirloom grain quality. And like I said on the High Plains ride, maybe this is the distillery that note comes from. I get malted milk ball. Wow. I don't know what I paid for this. I bought a bottle on secondary. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was Penelope Light Whiskey, the Founder's Reserve. And the guy threw this in, and I can't remember what I paid for it. It was reasonable to me, 70, something like that, maybe. I don't know what MSRP is on this thing, but on the nose so far, this is a crazy, strange rye. You've got to really not be looking for that like quintessential MGP rye. This is not anywhere close to that. You also don't want to be looking for like a really bright, like Kentucky Owl rye, where you get a lot of mint and stuff like that. This is its own thing. ADHD whiskey, Matt, what is up, dude? No, not yet. That is coming up. It's either next or next. One of the two. I think next I'm probably going to taste this Woodinville Moscatel finish. So just because of proof, it's 100 proof. So is this. Jared, I think this is around 75. Okay. Yeah, let me taste it before I pass judgment on that. I like this. What a funky ass whiskey. It's like chocolate lemon cake, and that makes no sense. It doesn't really make any sense, but that's what it is. It's lemon cake and malted milk balls. On the palate, that round lemon note comes through so much better than on the nose. My house just made a very strange sound. It sounded like the roof was going to cave in. If the roof does cave in, I guess that would make for an interesting live stream. Young Pei Cheng, you missed the Irish whiskey. I just went through 5 different Irish whiskeys. So, yeah, that was what time is it? 11:10. So that was the last hour, basically, was Irish whiskey. I love this comment. Get drunk first and let me know how much you love it. The reason I was late to this live stream, like I had only eaten one meal today, when I woke up, and then I got home at like, what was it, 9:45, and I'm like, I cannot do this live stream on an empty stomach. There's no way. So I had to make a lean cuisine and have a Cliff Bar, and it's like, I hope those 700 calories can soak up all the alcohol in my stomach. No, you're good, man. You're good. Guys, hit that like button, please, if you don't mind, if you haven't already. Let me check my computer battery. I hope, okay, we're good. Cool. Wow. I really like this. In a blind flight, this would be interesting to put next to some stuff in a blind flight. I think a lot of people might not like it if they put it next to a classic Kentucky barely legal rye. That might be kind of off-putting. Next to MGP, it might just seem weird, but I really, really like this stuff. You just got to know what you're getting into. You're getting into something that tastes like a malted milk ball and a lemon cake. So that's really it. All right. Real quick. Let's get into this. So yeah, Daniel P in the chat, like I said earlier, hooked me up with this bottle. He lives very close to Woodinville, and this was a distillery-only release. This is straight bourbon whiskey at 100 proof, finished in 10-year-old Moscatel de Setúbal pipes. So I don't know how to say that exactly, but it is a Moscatel finished Woodinville bourbon at 100 proof. And I love this finish. They have some information on the back. After the whiskey's fully mature, we transferred into 200 gallons. So these are big. Moscatel barrels, a rare fortified wine produced on the Setúbal Peninsula of Portugal, a region known for its ideal climate for producing these wines. This finishing process adds notes of dried apricot, orange peel, honey, toffee, candied nuts, and a hint of fennel. So, let's see. Greg McDonald. Not wishing for anything bad, but if the roof does cave in, can I have the King of Kentucky? It's all yours, man. You'll have to fight Sarah for it if she lives through the roof collapsing. Oh, wow. Oh, my good Lord. Eric off-putting when pudding goes bad. Oh, hang on. Okay. I know. This could be an interesting comparison here. Jay, I see Saucy Cam has arrived. Yes. Okay, so this Woodinville smells absolutely ungodly good to me right now. Am I tipsy? A little, but not like my nose is not impaired yet. I will always be honest with you if it is. I'm getting like clove, orange, sweet grape, white grape peach juice. Kind of a black pepper spice. And all of these notes, all at once, the way they hit me, reminded me of this 2013 Weller 12. That's very close. Let me just check this out. I got to sleuth it out because, wow. All right. It's the notes on the nose are all the same. It's just that the Weller 12 is a little bit sweeter. It has more of that Buffalo Trace sweetness to it. But the notes are very much the same. You do smell the craft whiskey quality of the Woodinville, which is something I always pick up on Woodinville. They're distinct grain notes. But that orange peel, that honey, that black pepper, what else did I say? Clove. All of those things are very similar between these two. Cool. Let's try the Woodinville. That is amazing whiskey. Daniel, thank you so much, man. I have a real soft spot for this stuff. And Moscatel finished whiskey, to me, that is maybe one of the best finishes to use. It just amplifies the perfect fruit notes in some of these whiskeys. Now, just for no other reason, let me just have this sip of Weller 12 from 2013. Yeah, Okay, that's better. You would expect it to be. But very similar actual like flavor profiles here. Not similar mouthfeel or similar construction. You can taste the age difference. Eric, Moscatel is from the Muscat family of grapes. Muscat of Alexandria, Muscat Blanc, Petit, Orange Muscat. They can be green, yellow, orange, red. Same grape can have names in different countries. And that's why I see like this makes sense. You see Moscatel, you see Muscat Mistel, you see like a lot of different things. But yeah, it's certainly a sweeter finish, which I like. I actually really like it. Yeah, Daniel, man, thank you for that. Very, very good whiskey there. So, you know, I hope one company at some point can make Muscatel finished whiskey more mainstream and mass produce it well, because I just think it's so good. Matt Porter, I'll send you some of this. I would love to get your take on it. All right. Man, good stuff. Deep breath. Rapid tasting. Deep breath. Oh, this is cool, Jay. Either this next Monday or the next, I'm going live on Shelf Turds for a Battle of the Blends. I would so appreciate the support. Absolutely, man. Thank you for letting us know. I'm going to keep an eye on that. So as soon as you find out, you know, let me know, let other people know. It'll be good to see you on screen. Awesome. And check out your blending skills. Where to go next? Matt Porter, if you're in the house, I want to get to this, so let's just do it. All right. I'm going to clean glass for Matt Porter. So, Matt, I've seen some of your tasting videos on this whiskey. I actually don't remember your tasting notes. I promise I paid attention. I just don't remember. This is a single barrel bourbon called the Secret of the Booze. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon. Proof 117.16 or 58.58% ABV. And this is an 8-year age stated single barrel. You know, guys, my relationship with barrel is it interesting, I guess? I mean, it's not interesting at all. It's pretty typical of what people say about barrel when it comes to their blends. It's all pretty good and it's all pretty overpriced. And I feel like there's too many releases. That's where I'm at with barrel right now. I know Seagrass took the world by storm, and then they capitalized on it with the $250 16-year Seagrass. And now they're going to move up to a 20-year Seagrass, which is going to be under their gold label, and presumably will keep the gold label price of $500, although that's TBD. It's interesting. Matt, I don't mean to preface this with a negative because this is a single barrel. So I want to give my brand impression first and then see how Matt's palate and how he picked compares to what this brand to me kind of feels like. If you've ever read Barrel Bourbon's tasting notes on their website, it's kind of a trip, right? It's like it's very long. And look, I do written reviews on my Patreon, but my tasting notes never veer off into like unregular flowers and, you know, types of honey and stuff like this. And there's nothing wrong with detailed tasting notes. But after reading several iterations of Barrel's tasting notes for different releases, I then realized, okay, this is really kind of over the top, or at least it feels over the top and a little pretentious to me. I'm just saying that's the way it comes off. They may be great people, and I'm sure they're great people. And whoever's writing the tasting notes, I'm sure is a great person. But it just comes off a certain way. And now when I drink their whiskey, I actually find that they feel almost too complex. It feels like somebody blended this whiskey to have as many layers and as many diverse tasting notes as possible. That's my impression right now of Barrel. That could totally change in the future. I haven't tried every batch of bourbon they've ever released. I've tried like 6 of them or something. And I've got this batch 32 to get into. I just wanted you to know that. So let's get into Matt's now. Matt seems to think this could possibly be Willet sourced. You know, not sure about where it actually comes from. But let's see what Matt's secret of the booze is like on the nose and palate. Checking out the chat now, guys. I also feel like Barrel has too many overpriced offerings, but their store pick single barrels have been solid. I've had a couple of rye single barrels that have been very, very good. Keith actually sent me a hazmat. I don't know if it was a single barrel, but he sent me a hazmat rye that was so, so good. No. I don't like reading tasting notes before I taste something. And whenever I make videos, I do not listen, or I just make a video. And the really cool part about being stringent or strict about that is when sometimes I'll say a tasting note I hate to say this, when I was putting out videos and I was making a lot of full reviews, which, like I said earlier in the stream, April is coming. Full reviews are back in April. But I would say some specific tasting note. And then I would have not watched any other videos or read anything. And then Jason would put a video out afterwards, the next day. There was no way that either of us copied each other's tasting notes. And he would say the exact same specific tasting note. And I'm like, hell yes. Because it feels good when you can find those same notes between people, I think. So no, please don't give me those notes. All right. Right away, cinnamon bark. The standout right now on the nose of Matt's pick is cinnamon bark. There's a little nuttiness to this. There is a peanut brittle note in here, but it's hidden behind this cinnamon bark, which I like. Both of those are actually reminding me of Booker's, but this is not coming off young and prickly and attacking like a Booker's would come off. Interesting. Ooh, so a little swirling in the glass revealed a beautiful oak component, a nice aged oak note. Yes. There's caramel green apple. There's kind of a nice middle of the road, straight ahead cherry note. Yeah, Unipoke base. Yeah, cinnamon stick. Just not artificial cinnamon. Like what I'm saying is not like atomic fireball cinnamon, but that more natural, dark, somewhat bitter and spicy cinnamon. Yes. I have never had a Willet Purple Top, so I can't speak to it. Oh my God. That is intense. That drink's over its proof. Good job, Matt. Oh, that is really sweet on the back end. Oh my God, that's it tastes like I poured sugar in my mouth. Right there. Back palate, once the finish is starting, it's just like someone poured a sugar in the raw packet in your mouth with a little bit of vanilla in there too. The cinnamon is so unbelievably intense in this. So, not a particularly fruity bourbon. There are fruits, but it's so taken over by the spicy notes in here. And incredibly long finish. Yeah. Still going on the finish, especially in the spice realm. The palate gets actually a little bit sticky sweet. But wow, that cinnamon is crazy. You know, if this is not Willet, the only distillery I could, and again, I don't know Willet, so I can't take a guess on whether it is or not. But the only other distillery that this reminds me of is Beam, but like really good Beam at 8 years old. Like the best, like a really, really incredible Booker's batch, but also a little bit of something else in there too. Huh. If this is what Willet tastes like, though, this is good bourbon. But the fact that someone would pay like $700 for this in a purple top bottle, if that's what this is, that's crazy to me. I really like it. But, you know, the $100 that this was seems, you know, appropriate for what it is. Wow. Wow. It has a Beam profile to me a little bit. I'm starting to feel more like an aged Booker's here, but I like this. Personally, in my whiskeys, I like a lot of fruit notes. Cinnamon forward whiskeys to me are not always my favorite. I like this. This is a solid pour. This is a great value. And Matt, I feel like you picked a whiskey that, yes, like depending on the flavor notes in the different barrels you had, this has good flavor notes, but where this whiskey shines is in its development and in its finish and just the overall experience of drinking this whiskey. Whereas I might prefer something a little fruitier. You can't argue with what this whiskey is, you know, and the way that it comes off on the palate. Chris, is there a sticker on the back? There is. Matt put this circle sticker here. It says ADHD Whiskey, Secret of the Booze. Eric Wade just bought a store pick ECBP at 136. It is amazeballs. There's no sense in reviewing it because my viewers won't be able to get it. Eric, how old is that? I have the Mash and Journey 8-year pick, and I just snagged an 11-year, much lower proof, like 120, maybe 119 proof that I need to pick up. No, I think I'm picking it up on Saturday. Young Pei Chang, I had the opportunity to buy a Caribou Crossing at retail. It lost in a blind to Crown Royal's Noble Collection Winter Wheat and Black Velvet. Oh, it glows. Does it really glow in the dark? Well, I can't. The light, all my lights that I'm using for my setup are like 3 different switches, so it would be hard to turn the lights off. Okay, the more I'm sitting with this now, Matt, and again, this is straight out of the bottle. This is like the second pour I've had of this thing. There's kind of an unusual oak note in here that I'm not used to getting. Huh. All right. Okay, this will sound a little crazy. There's actually something in here that reminds me like 5%, 10% of a Dusty. And it's not butterscotch. Most Dusties have a butterscotch note. It's not butterscotch. It's the... What is that? It's a texture thing on the nose. That's weird. And it kind of comes and goes. Yeah. And more vanilla comes out when you swirl this thing in the glass. Let me throw a little water in it, and then we're going to move on. So, Matt, let me ask you this, man. How many samples did Barrel send you when you picked this? And how different were the profiles between the samples? Like, what did you know about the stats? Did you know the ages, or did they just send you like 3 to 5 blind samples? I'm curious. It has a doughiness to it. That's interesting. Okay, that might be what it is. Yeah, it was like the more I swirled this, it got a little bit King of Kentucky like. And I'm not saying it, you know, I'm not saying it tasted like King of Kentucky, but these weird qualities that King of Kentucky has where it emulates a Dusty sometimes, and it also emulates just a really highly aged, like 20-year-old bourbon. The more I swirled this, the more I got notes that reminded me of that. Wow, we just had a big influx of people come in here, guys. If you guys are just now jumping in, please hit that like button. We are sipping on Matt Porter's personal barrel pick here from Barrel Bourbon, the Secret of the Booze pick. I liked it better without water. Yes, water took this thing, it just made it fall apart. So no water in the Matt Porter barrel pick there. JG, what are the bottles on your left, Cam? Funny you should ask. All right, story time, guys. It's time to get into this. Let's check these out. Twinsies. Actually, let me look at the proof. Okay. Let me look at the Sag Rye proof. Oh, are these all proof down to 110? I did not know that. Maybe I should do the 110 first. I don't know. Let's go. All right. Let me get some water in my body. Let me clean some glasses. And then let's get into this. So, because we have some story time representatives in the house, I can ask some questions, which is great. Give me a second. Sorry. Matt, the amount of cinnamon in your pick is silly. All right. So these are both 6-year, 6-month, 21% MGP rye, MGP bourbon, 21% rye barrels. Okay. Do you guys know anything about the aging of these? I'd be curious. Like, do you know the floors that they were on? Yeah. How did the sourcing work for this? Did you know, like, did they give you that information of what floors these barrels were on? All right. So let's do these in the order numerically that they are. Okay. Same distilling date, same run, 2 barrels apart. Okay. Proofs are within 1 proof point. So let's just say that these are both 116 proof, basically. This is barrel 1 over here, which is your left. So that makes sense. And then barrel 3 over here. 1 and 3. I think that's all we need to know. I tasted these the other night in bed. I was watching a TV show, not really paying too much attention. And I remember one. I'm not going to say any of the notes I remember because I want to get into this and see what happens tonight. But one was distinctly more something than the other. That's all I'm going to say. And I can't remember which one it even was. So let's try barrel number 1 first. Huh. Interesting. Barrel 1 is jumping out of the glass a lot more than barrel 3. Barrel 3 is much more tame. Okay, this is good info right here. They were ricked at MGP for 1 year, 8 months before heading to Chicago to be aged in a non-temperature controlled brick building, ricked on the 3rd level. Okay. Huh. I think my palate, let me acclimate my palate to these. Based on what I'm smelling, I'm actually going to start with barrel 3 because it is a little more tame. So let me go barrel 3 first. I'll taste it and then go back to the nose and start giving some notes. Tobacco right away. Tobacco, orange peel, grape. Kind of a charcoal, spicy charcoal char, I guess, note. That's interesting. I know the 21% MGP rye profile, you know, with a lot of the backbone picks and stuff like that. This is a little bit different. This is not quite the same. There is something that I cannot pinpoint on this. There's actually a really minor dill quality in here. Like the rye is really active for being that 21% bourbon mash bill, you know, that the rye is really coming out. Just a hint of it though. And next to the Sagamore, yeah, there are similarities in more than I would expect in this bourbon. But man, the palate on barrel 3 actually outdoes the nose for me. Okay, I'm going to leave that. What did I say? Orange peel, tobacco. There's like a grape note in here. This sort of char quality. I will come back to it. Vanilla on the back end. Actually very sweet in the finish. I would have expected it to be a little more bitter on the finish based on that char note. It actually sweetens up as it goes, which is interesting. A lot of MGP tends to go dry and bitter on the back end. Yeah. Now, when I go to barrel 1, the nose I'm getting off this reminds me more of the palate of glass of barrel 3, where this had a tame nose and a really nice intense palate. This has an intense nose that matches this intense palate. I'm actually getting more vanilla sweetness here. Buttercream, a buttercream note. Almost like, butter pecan ice cream on barrel 1. And lots of floaters in the bottle. Is that all char? Is that all barrel sediment and stuff like that? That is not the case in barrel 3, but man, my barrel 1, there's a lot of floaters in there, and it's a screw top, so it's not cork. Ooh. That's a very intense palate on barrel 1. Evan Ray, what's up, man? That's funny. No tasting notes on Malort tonight. Actually, I've never tasted Malort, to be honest with you. Someone needs to send me a sample of Malort. You know what I really, really like? Even though the nose is tame on barrel 3, I love the tobacco note I'm getting on this. Yes. There is something about that. Even though barrel 1's nose is a little more straightforward, a little more like understandable right away, smells like barrel proof MGP. I actually like the nose on this now that I've gone back and forth. The reserved nose on this, there's something understated and kind of mysterious about barrel 3. Okay. The palate development and intensity, though, on barrel 1, the actual quality, like the development of this is better on the palate. This is interesting, guys. It's not quite like any other 21% rye MGP I had. Let me grab one real quick. If I have it up here, hang on. Let me look. Okay, this is my favorite backbone pick that I own. It's only 4.5 years old. It does not drink like that. It drinks much older. Let me pour this out and compare it because I'm curious. Proof 120, so slightly higher. Eric, wait. I'll see you later, man. Thanks for jumping in. And yes, I good timing. I am actually drinking some water and clearing a glass right now. Thank you, Mom, for $5. You basically just gave YouTube like two of those dollars, but thank you. Ooh, story time. Blend them when you're done. Okay. All right. Let's So a buddy of mine here in Columbus had this exact backbone pick from a store down in northern Kentucky. And his sat open, I want to say it was either 6 months or 9 months. And after that amount of time, it became just like cherry syrup, an absolutely beautiful, sweet, fruity bourbon. But he said it was not always that way, and it really took a lot of time being open to get there. Mine's been open for many months at this point, but I probably not as long as his was when we tried it. So I'm going to be curious when we put this next to these Storytime picks. Let's get a little refill. Eric McDaniel, there is plenty of Irish on the table, actually. We did that a little bit earlier. You can't see him, but I have a lot of Redbreast and Blue Spot samples. We definitely did an hour of Irish whiskey at the beginning of the stream. Ernest Riley, thank you for jumping in, man. I'll get you your samples to Jared to pass off to you, but thank you for hopping in. Cheers and have a good rest of your St. Paddy's Day. What little remains. Yeah. All right. This backbone pick is just dark cherry, dark cinnamons. It's kind of one-dimensional, but in a good, it's like one-dimensional, but that one dimension's pretty darn good. And it's basically 2 years younger than these. So now let's move on to these. Totally different. Yeah. The buttercream note is becoming much more obvious now, especially on barrel 1. And this weird spice. What? I don't know what that is. Barrel 3, there's just something about barrel 3. Yeah. Wow. You guys did a great job with this. In particular, you found bourbons, these particular barrels that are very similar in a lot of ways. And that makes sense. Same run, same age, a couple barrels apart. But within those similarities, there are distinct differences in the way that these things hit your palate. And distinct differences on the intensity with the nose, and then a couple of flavor notes that make each of these unique. And so offering this up as a twin pack like you did at a really affordable price, this is a home run. This is a home run. It's like, do I like this backbone? The fact that it's so dark and sherry? Yes, I really, really do. It also outdoes itself. And that's what I'm used to from 21% MGP bourbon. But these bring something new to the table, which is really nice and refreshing. I have to assume a lot of that has to do with the fact that the barrel got moved and was aged in a different location, you know? That has to have an impact on it. So, yeah. Daniel, these came from Storytime. Storytime says, don't sleep on those picks. Y'all can't beat them, especially when you realize they're only 57 each for a 6.5-year-old bourbon. Yeah, these are good. These are really good. It's an interesting thing. And you know what? I love screw tops. I absolutely love screw tops. The old Weller 12, like I pulled out earlier, down here, I love these screw tops. So when I see anything with a black screw top like this, it's like, I want you to put expensive bourbon or good bourbon in a black screw top. That's all I want in this world. Big League says we might have a few more barrels still aging. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Kevin O'Keefe, is that the cream of Kentucky Rye? I just got one yesterday. Have you tasted yet? I did. I tasted it about a half an hour ago, maybe 45 minutes at the most. Very funky. Lemon cake meets malted milk ball. I really like it, but it's extremely craft distillery tasting, where you have that really kind of distinct grain note in there. Thank you, Amy. And guys, I'm not actually, I think Storytime, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there's some sort of membership or subscription to Storytime Distillery. I ended up getting these bottles because I think Trev shared a link in his Patreon because you guys were trying to sell through these barrels. And I was like, oh, let me check this out, you know? Because look, like half of my Patreon money that I make goes back into other people's Patreons and supporting, and, you know, so there's only so much to go around on my end, but I was excited to get these, and I'm really glad I did. So yeah, check out Storytime Distillery. I don't know if there's any of these left. It sounded like, based on what was said above, that there are some of these left. Yeah. So, all right. Great. Let me blend them. You guys said to blend them. This is basically a 50-50. What I want out of this 50-50 blend is that tobacco note from barrel 3 and the development and intensity of barrel 1. JG, Oak Crowd, almost 11 p.m. my time. I know I'm an oaf. Cam, I miss your lives. Whiskey dreams and good night all. Work tomorrow. Work tomorrow. All right, man. Have a good one. Sleep tight. Thanks for jumping in, Jay. And let us know about that Shelf Turds live. I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. There are some of these left. Okay. Yeah, if you got Daniel, if you're interested in a man, maybe you can grab a set of these. And then it says Storytime. It's an annual membership that you can pay monthly or all at once. Okay. Yeah. It's cool, guys. It's a cool thing you're doing. So if you guys are interested, check out Storytime. Ooh. Evan, sorry I missed this. I have not tried any of the Hirsch stuff. But if that is rumored Willet Purple Top stuff, then I would love to try one of those next to Matt's barrel pick. That would be interesting to see if they're similar, since he thinks that could be Willet. I think barrel 1 in this 50-50 blend took over barrel 3, which would be expected because it was more intense. The palate on the blend is better. Yes. The nose is not. The nose is a little out of balance, but the palate is better on the blend. Yes, yes, yes. And it made that finish a little less cloyingly sweet. It balanced it out with spice. You guys are right. 50-50 blend of these is not a bad move. Yes. I'm going to have one hell of an infinity glass after this stream. You know, I don't consider it a waste. I have too much whiskey as it is. But like every stream, when you get done, you have like probably 4 or 5 ounces of whiskey at the end of it when it's up here. And you're just like, man, like, what do I do with this? I guess I need to make just an infinity bottle of this stuff. That would be the smart thing. Evan says, let's see. I never said that. I thought, no, you hinted at it though. I'm not saying you think it is. I'm saying you think it could be, maybe, sorta. Secret of the booze. Evan says, interesting. Matt, are you just trying to protect yourself after you signed that NDA? Is that what you're doing? Tried a couple different barrels of the Hirsch. Some have been incredible. Others are just super solid. All great for the money. That's interesting. Infinity glass is like Infinity Gauntlet, but you are the one who fades away instead of everyone else. That's a great point, Young Pei Chang. It's a great way for people to see the true difference a barrel makes. Yeah. Yeah. Tasting, you know, like with Four Roses too, being able to taste things from the same run, like sister barrels. I really like being able to do that because no 2 barrels are the same. And like when you isolate, when the distillate is the same, from the same run of distillate, when it's next to, you know, they're next to each other in the warehouse, that, how much distance is that? You know what I mean? A couple of feet. Okay, maybe there's like 3% difference based on those couple of feet. But 97% of that difference is going to be coming from the barrel itself. So you really get the opportunity to isolate variables and determine how much impact those variables have. So it's a really great way to do that. So in my infinity glass, the 2 things that come out the most, as expected, the 1910 I had earlier and the funky ass qualities of this cream of Kentucky Rye. It tastes like 1910 and like cream of Kentucky blended. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. The other barrels were not close to this. 6 barrels in this batch. What do we have left? Oh, we have, you know, I'm not going to get to barrel batch 32 tonight. It's just not in the cards. But let's end with this. Let's end with this Mash and Journey Sagamore Spirit Rye, 110 proof, 7 years age stated. Let's go there. Let me clear a glass. Okay. Let's see. Cool. All right. Let's do this. Look at that color. Cool. So, let me know if you guys have tried this. I know this went into overflow, so I feel like more people had the opportunity to try this Sagamore Spirit. This is the Three Sagamigos. Shout out to Dusty, the Hawk, and Jason. Yeah. Let's try it. I typically love these barrel selects from Sagamore Spirit. And this is no different. Orange peel, slight dill in this one, a little bit of dill. Yeah, mint, eucalyptus, dill, orange peel, some vanilla. That orange is really starting to come out now. Almost like a burnt orange, like in a cocktail when you burn an orange peel or a slice of orange and put it in a cocktail. Wow. Well, that's interesting. It did a little thing. The mouthfeel on this at 110 proof, perfect. Perfect. This is something. If you've been in a whiskey barrel club, barrel pick club, whatever you want to call it, for a period of time, you start to understand what people are looking for in the barrels they pick or the private blends they do. In this case, I think the barrel selects that Sagamore Spirit does involves picking barrels and having them blended. I'm not sure. Do not quote me on that. But I think there's something that goes on here involving blending. Whether that's true or not, doesn't matter. You start to understand what the people are going for, and there is a theme, and it develops. Prav Saraf from Prav's Picks, all of his stuff leans on the delicate side. It leans on the smooth, the easy sipping. Doesn't even need to be particularly complex. It just needs to be an enjoyable and non-offensive drinking experience. That has to do with the development of the whiskey on the palate and also the flavors that he goes for. And that became obvious after a few picks that I ordered of his. Now, one thing I know about Mash and Journey, Jason and Scott, is that they really care about the finish on a whiskey. I know Jason really cares about finish on a whiskey. And that comes through. The Maker's pick that I just got, this pick, the Penelope pick. I have several others. Can't remember them off the top of my head. But all of the Mash and Journey stuff I have, that whiskey develops all the way through the palate, and it continues developing in the finish, and that has become the signature trait. I don't always agree with some of the flavor notes, and that's just a really personal preference, subjective thing. Like the Maker's pick, I actually prefer some of the wood finishing series, FAEO2, because it's a little darker than the Mash and Journey pick, but the Mash and Journey pick just has better development on the palate. So it's a trade-off a little bit. This is the same for me. Some of the Sagamores I've had, some of their barrel select ryes avoid the dill note, and they really go towards like an apple sweet vanilla rye. I love that. This actually has a little dill and so much more orange than I'm used to. The amount of orange reminds me of Templeton 10-year rye and Redemption 10-year in some ways. But the palate development and mouthfeel in here is second to none. So, Wow. Okay, let me check out the chat here, guys. Where are we at? 18 year. What are you guys talking about? 18 year. 18 year what? 18 year sounds quite old. Are you talking about Elijah Craig? 18? Because I know, Amy, you've sent me an Elijah Craig 18 sample. Anyways, Trevor, just wait till the Mash and Journey 4-gate picks release. So good. Can't wait for those. I'm buying them. You know, I didn't buy the last one. I regret that quite a lot. So what's up, Aiden? I did not get the birdie pick, and I'm so pissed. I am very pissed. Young Pei Chang says, that is absolutely quotable, though. Cam and I think you should do a video on club picks. Are you saying Cam and I think you should do a video on club picks? Do you think I should do a video on club picks? Because, okay, so I said earlier in the stream that in April, I'm going to be bringing back full reviews. I've got a little animation and a sort of a consistent thing I'm going to be doing called the bottle breakdown in my reviews, where I just quickly go through the stats of the bottle, give a little introduction at the beginning, then do the bottle breakdown, and then we get into the review. And along with that, I've been thinking up a series that I just do every once in a while. Like, you know, the Weekly Dram is my new show. It can be called the Weekly Dram. It doesn't need to be weekly, in my opinion, but I'm hopefully going to get to doing it weekly. But, you know, I've just been trying to get it off the ground first. I have that, full reviews, quick sips, and something called Friends, Blends, and Barrel Picks. So I want to do a series called Friends, Blends, and Barrel Picks because I just think there's so many of them now that we can start to talk about what people are picking more broadly and review those bottles, and then also talk about what it is they're picking and maybe get them involved at some point. But I think it would be a good idea. Yeah, this is very good. And this is only 7 years old, which is hilarious. This drinks like a 10-year-old rye whiskey. The oak quality, it has that Remus Repeal Reserve Batch 5 oak presence. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, I just want to, like, as somebody who is friends with people in the Whiskey Tube community, but also looks up to those people who I consider to be my friends in the community, like Matt, you know, like Jason. You look up to these guys, and I buy their picks, and you want to review those picks in a way that's not just another whiskey review. And if I could get a little quote from them or even involve them in the video, that would be also, you know, kind of interesting. Like, hey, what were you sent? How did the other thing stack up? How did you land on this one, etc.? Okay, guys. Is there anything else? Is there anything else I need to taste? I just got Larceny A122. I actually meant to taste that tonight. I could still taste it if you want. Larceny A122 I just got. Let me look around. What else? My floor. You know it's bad when the floor starts, you know, collecting bottles underneath the shelves. It's like, all right, I need to stop buying more bottles. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to taste Larceny A122 right now. Matt says, quote this, friggin' love you, Cam. Thanks, man. Oh, Matt, it's been, man, well, here I am. Now I'm drunk. So now let me have another sip of the ADHD whiskey. Man, cinnamon spice and everything nice. Matt, you need to start your own label and just call it ADHD whiskey. You know, the brand is ADHD. That's it. ADHD whiskey. Also, your picks are dropping tomorrow, and I'm going to be buying them. And if you wanted to find a way to, like, allow me to buy 2 of the apple brandy bourbons, I wouldn't say no. I'm just kidding. Let's go to Larceny A122. That'll close the night. Glows in the dark, no big deal. Let me see if I can get it to glow in the dark. Hang on. Hang on. You can kind of tell. I can't cut this light. Well, actually, I can cut this light. Let me cut this light. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Is this the right? I got to get on the right switch, you know? That's the wrong one. Here we go. There we go. Now it's spooky season. Maybe I didn't get enough sunlight on this to glow in the dark. I don't think I did. I don't think that doesn't look very glowy to me. All right. Well, I failed. That's okay. That's okay. And we're back. There you go. Oh, goodness. What's happening? All right. Let's do this. Let's drink a brand that I just love. If I had to pick any limited release whiskey from a major distillery that consistently meets my expectations, I would pick Larceny Barrel Proof. But my expectations are extremely, extremely low. That's all I'm going to say. All right. I got a fresh glass. Matt, were you actually trolling? Does it actually not glow in the dark? It seems like it probably glows in the dark. It's got that green color, you know? It never saw the sun. That's it. Yeah, this bottle has sat in this room. And I have blackout curtains in here, so. Dang. All right. Yeah. Chris, correct. I hate this brand. I absolutely hate this brand. What a letdown. What a letdown of a special release from a major distillery. Now, this is going to be telling. Tasting A122. I've had one sip of this so far. B521 was my favorite batch. I have not reviewed C921. I don't know how I feel about it yet. People are like, oh, Larceny Barrel Proof, finally, C921. Stop. If it's better than B521, it's by like a 7% margin. So shut up. Now we're at A122. The proof is much higher. Well, kind of much. I mean, like 4 proof points higher, basically, on this new batch. The first one of 2022. So let's see what's going on here. Aiden, I know you think this, and I know other people say this too. Most markets don't see this at $50. I know MSRP or SRP is $49.99. You know, when I found one in Indy, which is not state controlled, usually pretty reasonable, actually, Indianapolis, pretty reasonable market, it was still like $70. So I don't think it lives up to the potential of what a barrel proof weeder should be from Heaven Hill, but all right, let's check this out. 124.4 proof or 62.2% ABV. Okay. This is actually pretty nice on the nose. A lot of ethanol. The proof is very clear. Some of the earlier Larceny Barrel Proof batches were extremely alcohol forward. This is hinting towards that, but it's not the same. It feels like they've had 6 tries at this, and this is the 7th try, and they're like, okay, let's try to get some nice flavors from B521 and blend that with a little higher proof from some of the earlier batches, and that's what they've got. Yeah, there's a little peanut brittle. It's subtle. This is not a peanut forward whiskey like a lot of Larceny Barrel Proof is. Cinnamon bark. This is actually reminding me of Matt's barrel pick. Very closely related, actually. Wow. That might be the best one yet, actually. All things considered, it's still not what I want a barrel proof weeder to be from Heaven Hill. But knowing that the age is so young, like around 6, 7, 8 years old, whoops, it feels like this might be the top of what they can do with that age of a blended, weeded barrel proof whiskey, you know? Matt says Instagram messages. My phone, where did I put my phone? It's down here. Did Matt send me a picture of it glowing in the dark? Hang on. Let's see. Yes! Guys, here's the proof. That looks pretty glowy to me. Hang on. Let's go to this one. Pitch black, glowing in the dark. Damn. Dude, that's a pretty... Man. Look at that. That is glowing. Matt's right. No, you're right, Aiden. But look, I mean, SRP is only part of the story. Interesting. I mean, I don't, you know, it's like for Heaven Hill, I think what actually hurts this brand is knowing what Old Fitzgerald tastes like. You have an idea of what the top end of their weeded bourbon tastes like. And then they release the young barrel proof version, and it's just like, oh, okay, you know. If this would have come first, and then Old Fitzgerald, we started. I mean, Old Fitzgerald's been around for a long time, so I know that's irrelevant or a moot point. But if like they rebooted the Decanter series, Old Fitzgerald's or something after this was out, it would make more sense. Cam, you should see if you can get Jason to help let you help him run the Russell's Gauntlet for your state if Jim Canepa recruits him again. What was it again? 30 barrels in a day? Man. Yeah, I know Jason has been on some picks in Ohio with the state liquor agency. You know, my profile is so small at this point that I don't know that I would. I mean, I don't know who they bring on those picks, but that would have to. The only way I could ever get linked up into that is if Jason, you know, wanted to put in a good word and everything like that. And unfortunately, I mean, you know, that my channel's been a little inactive, severely inactive over the last 6 months, and when it does get back to being full-fledged what I want it to be, then hopefully Jason and I can collaborate a little bit more regularly, and hopefully that relationship would lead to something like this. But, you know, it's nothing I would suggest at this point to him, because I don't want to seem like I'm just trying to get something out of that, you know. But it would be great. It would be a lot of fun. Also, yes, I pictured this as well. Trevor, yes. 2 weeks from today, the 31st, we're going to be doing a blind flight head-to-head, courtesy of Amy Bohm. Well, Aiden, I would maybe pick neither. I would just say, I'm going to take Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. If you're basing on, let's say, secondary prices, like Old Fitz, I'll never, ever find an Old Fitz. So I'd have to pay secondary, and those are just stupid for what they are. Oh, good. This is a good comment. Yeah, Jason actually said it wasn't that fun because it was too rushed. I would imagine trying to pick 30 barrels in a day is probably too rushed. Oh, it depends on which old fits, Aiden. Like some of them are not good, but like the 15-year, Matt sent me a sample of the 15-year in a blind flight once. Dude, Old Fitz 15 was silly. It was so good. But I would imagine maybe the 8, the 9, the 11, maybe those are not as good. 15, 16, they have a 17 coming out for spring 2022. Those are probably amazing pours. Yeah. Yeah. And I've not heard good things about some of the younger releases. I think Weeders just need some age. A lot of people say, "Oh, rye is spicy. Wheat is soft. It's smooth. It's sweet. It's all these things." Yeah, maybe like 1792 sweet wheat is. I mean, that's an outlier in the sense that it's so sweet. It's so wheated. But any other weeder, I feel like needs at least 12 years. Makes sense. It makes sense why the Pappy line and I mean the Van Winkle line, I should say, does well with age. I think those things just need more time. No, I've not reviewed an Old Fitz before. I don't own an Old Fitz. I have held in my hand, maybe on a live stream, the infinity bottle that's been going around the different whiskey tube channels. It's not Beagle Rare. That was the first one Matt did. But what is the second one called? I'm on Team Wildcard. I'm on Dan Shook's team, and I had that bottle for a second. So that's the only one I've ever even held. I've only tried that sample of Old Fitz 15 from Matt, and then some others, some younger ones at some point. I think a 9-year I've got a sample of. Old Charter. That's what it is. It's Old Charter. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I still have, I don't even know what we're doing with those videos yet. I still have all the raw footage when I recorded it in the old studio. So when I have to go through and edit that, I guess, for Old Charter, it's going to be shameful to edit it in the white-walled, old studio. Not even a studio. It was my friggin' office. I think this Larceny Barrel Proof is acceptable to me. A122, I think it's okay. I know I liked B521. Let's go to C921. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think A122 is pretty darn good. Yeah, it's pretty dark. Yep. Dark, very ethanol, alcohol forward, but dark enough, not too much peanut. It's good. It's good. All right. Aiden, yeah, I mean, I still, maybe I do have expectations that are unrealistic for that line. It's just tough, man. When you see Elijah Craig Barrel Proof being what it is on the ride bourbon side of things, with a great age statement, a barrel proof, pretty available when it releases. And then you see what ultra aged or really high quality weeded bourbon from Heaven Hill can be, and then you put those things together, and that should be Larceny Barrel Proof. Unfortunately, it comes in about half the age you would want it to be. It's man, did we need that? That's my biggest issue is like, okay, if we were thinking about doing a Larceny Barrel Proof, why not just wait 4 more years? There was no rush to put that out into the market because there's not enough to go around anyways. There's much more Elijah Craig Barrel Proof in the world than there is Larceny Barrel Proof. So just let it go. Keep producing Larceny. Let some barrels sit back and age at least 10 years old. Give it a fat age statement on Larceny Barrel Proof like you do Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and like go from there. That's the way I looked at it. But it was like, you know, why now? Why are we doing this now? It felt weird. Trevor, you know, I'm in the camp of people complaining about those releases. Part of it is because, look, I have every Elijah Craig Barrel Proof release in the current bottles, back to A117. I've tasted them all very intently. I know my favorites. A117 is my absolute favorite. A119 and C919 are very close. B520 is just super good, but B520 is the modern day Elijah Craig Barrel Proof profile, which is very clean, direct down the middle. That's B520, and it's just done so well with a little remnant of what it used to be, a little dustiness, a little of that oak funk. Then you get to C920. That's the turning point for me. C920 is like, no more dusty funk. This is just a really good bourbon. Then you go to A121. Falls off completely. Peanuts all day. Lower proof. Then you get to B521. I'm like, what's going on here? It's not that it's a bad bourbon. It's that it lost that oak funk. It lost the mouthfeel, the presence of the previous batches. C921 brought it back a little bit, but still in the context of a modern day clean profile. More burnt orange in C921. A122 to me is actually maybe a little worse than C921. It's more earthy, it's darker, which people I think are tasting A122. And I think people are saying, oh my God, this is dark. It's rich again. We're back, baby. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is back. I don't think so. I think it's just a darker profile, but it still lacks the oak, the funkiness, that dusty quality, that intensity, that texture, the mouthfeel that the old ones had. And so I think we're kind of kidding ourselves now. People that got into whiskey, you know, I got into bourbon really heavily in 2020 during COVID. Before that, I was a Scotch head. But now that I own all of these Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs dating back 5 years, and I understand the context now, I do not think the present day releases are living up to that. And maybe times are changing, but they're changing for a cleaner, more sterile, down the middle profile that I'm just not a fan of. And David, this is another thing. Larceny Barrel Proof is 3 to a case. That's another big thing. It's half the distribution when you send cases out than Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Let's see. I don't have any experience with this. I'd be curious though. Aiden, I don't think about whether it's needed and just enjoy that it exists. That's also a very good point. Do you think? Yeah, okay. Big League, I'm getting to that comment. Do you think they're just rushing the releases? We're talking Elijah Craig Barrel Proof right now. Or what do you think? Why do you think they're getting worse? I don't think they're rushing it. They know the schedule. They know they've set themselves up since 2017 to do 3 a year. So there's no rushing. Yeah, maybe the strike impacted whatever release came right after the strike. but you know, that's all like situational. I do not understand what is different. And the only thing to me, like, what goes into this stuff? The rick houses are the same. Let's not, you know, the rick houses we don't need to talk about. They can put them on those floors, whatever. The distillate, could the distillate be different year to year as they distill it? Possibly. Like the grain quality might not be as good. But let's say the grain quality is as good. Maybe it's the barrels. We're hearing about shortages for whiskey barrels. And if there's shortages, that means we've already gone down to the point that we're probably using stocks that we shouldn't even use. You know what I mean? Like if we're down to shortage territory, we're probably using stuff that's not even up to par. If we're just trying to get through a shortage. So it could be the wood. It could be a lot of things. I don't know what it is. I don't know that the blender has changed. If the blender has changed, that would not be good, because it would be a clear change from about 2019 to 2020 is when that change happened, where the profile became clean, became sterilized down the middle. That's the way I talk about it. Antiseptic. It's like an antiseptic profile. It tastes like you took an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof from 2017 and distilled it a third time and just stripped something away from it. Yeah, humongous contrast to Pirate. And okay, so for instance, closest to the pirate barrels. Closest to the pirate barrels, A117, that is no surprise. It is the first release in the new bottles directly after the pirate barrels. Do we count it? I don't know, but that's the closest. Second closest is either C917 or maybe like C919. Those are the closest to the old pirate barrels. A119 has a quality of it. B520 has a quality of it. And that's about it. Like A118 is a good batch. B518, those are good batches. They do not have that quality that the old batches in the pirate bottles have. Yeah, Matt. I know they're too easy to drink. I'm stocking up right now on all of anything 2020 and earlier. I'm just stocking up. Anyone I see at a reasonable price, I just buy it. I don't even think about it anymore. Because in 5 years, A117 is going to be $400. I really believe that. In 7 years, B520 is going to be $400 on secondary. You know, because if they continue going towards this extremely antiseptic profile that they're having now, which is not bad. Like I need to say, it's really, really good whiskey in the current market. It's just not what they've set up for themselves over the last 5 years. Okay, here's what I'm saying. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof needs to have a new bottle and a new label. Reinvent yourself. You did it in 2017, and the whiskey fundamentally changed for the most part, but it was still really good for like 3 or 4 years. We're at that point again. Let's see a new bottle, because we need to delineate the fact that this shit is different than it was. Sorry, I'm going hard right now, guys. Let's see. Were they 3 each? That would be crazy. Aiden, yes, this would be a big part of it. This would be a big part of it if that's the case. It tastes, I mean, look, the pirate bottles, it tastes like there's like 15 to 18-year-old whiskey blended in those pirate bottles. A117 tastes like there's like 15-year-old whiskey in that batch. And then some of the batches just don't, it's like this was barely 12 years old. Yeah. Okay. So I'm seeing some stuff in the comments. It looks like the ECBP boxes have changed over the years. Yes, and there is an insane amount of variables. Matt, I agree with yes. A122 takes the profile darker to me. You know what? Fuck it. Let me grab some. Let's see. Let me just grab A122. Yeah. There's so much whiskey on this table now. Yeah. So Trevor says, you got into the whiskey game in 2020. Haven't tasted any ECBP before then. I know the whiskey game is way out of control. I guarantee they had to start blending younger. But look, here's what makes me mad about that is that I am 90% sure they're blending younger than they used to. It's the bourbon boom right now. But then you see Heaven Hill say like, "Oh, we're going to come out with what is it called? The Heritage Collection. This blend of 17 to 20-year-old barrels that they're coming out with. Average age is 18.7 years. It's like, look, I'm glad you're putting that out, but if you're going to put out 1,000 bottles in the gift shop, no one's going to have a chance to buy them except people that just stumble upon those or wait in a line for 24 hours outside the gift shop. Like, you know what? Take that whiskey and put it in your Elijah Craig blends and make better blends. That's how I feel about it, because if you can put that whiskey into a blend and impact a much greater release and make the masses happier as opposed to those 1,000, 1,500, 3,000 people, whatever it is, that come to the gift shop and buy your Heritage Collection, do that. We don't need more releases. We need better whiskey in general, because whiskey's only going to keep falling off right now. The boom is too much for the market to handle. The barrels can't handle it. The trees, like we don't have enough trees for the barrel. Like there's a shortage of this. One. Number two, we got to wait. We have to wait many years for these whiskeys to come of age. Buffalo Trace can expand all they want. This company can expand all they want. MGP can build new rick houses in Williamstown, Kentucky. It doesn't matter. It's going to take years. So Heaven Hill, please take those 17 to 20-year-old barrels, blend them into your Elijah Craig releases, barrel proof releases in particular. Let's see better. That's an interesting point, Matt. I have nothing to back up the conjecture that there might be 15-year-old barrels in there, But when you hear that Russell's 13, for instance, that the first release that just came out had 19-year-old barrels blended in, it's like, well, maybe, that makes me more empathetic or hopeful maybe that distilleries are blending in older stuff to some of these releases that have lower age statements than some of the maximum ages in the blend. Yeah, I don't like these 3-packs. I think that's what's great about it is that you can find them years after the fact. But the fact that they're so upcharged, I don't like that. Anyways, let's get into A122 very quickly. There's still a fair amount of nuttiness on this, honestly. But it's got a dirt, earthy quality to it. Yeah, and Matt, like I have no idea, man. I am the least like of you, Jason, Dan and Sean, um, Chad and Sarah. Like you guys know the industry in exponentially more than I do. I know nothing about the industry. I have no industry contacts. No one knows who I am. I'm just some dude on YouTube, drinking whiskey and talking about it. So someone in this group of people might know some difference or have the contact at Heaven Hill to ask what is that difference. I would love to know who that is, and what they have to say and what the difference may or may not be. That's not me. I don't have those resources, but I would love to hear about that. And speaking of this, like, I think the distillery most poised to disrupt based on quality is Brown-Forman. So after tasting King of Kentucky, a release that has been consistent and growing year to year, and seeing Jackie Zykan put out the 117 series, the High Angel Share Barrels, the Warehouse K, it's like, oh shit. Old Forester is heating up, and Heaven Hill is like doing this, and Jim Beam and Booker's, the 15-year knob picks, the Booker's batches, the Baker's single barrels, all of it is doing this. Heaven Hill's doing this. Brown-Forman's doing this. It's like, I think Brown-Forman is poised to be the next big thing. I really do. Buffalo Trace is fine, but it's so sought after that even if distribution increases, quantity increases, it's really not going to matter because the demand is just too high. Guys, thank you for hanging out. I know it's late. Thank you for the really insightful comments. As this dude, who is maybe a little too tipsy, is trying to parse through these issues and talk about them in a relatively intelligent way. Thank you for hanging out and being so receptive and contributing. I really appreciate it, because this is stuff I want to learn about, as I really do want to get more into the whiskey industry. So interesting. And you know what? Evan Williams, I haven't had the Evan Williams 12 year. The single barrels recently, like, the standard sort of 8-year single barrels are not that great. Previous releases, different vintages have been really good. Excuse me, last 2 years, not so great. I can't speak to the 12-year, but the 2019 Evan Williams 23 that I have is next level whiskey. So I would believe that. Okay, Aiden, this is a great point. I don't stress about this stuff too much. To me, it all boils down to, do I like the whiskey? And there is always another new bottle. I believe this mostly. This is the way I think mostly. For instance, like, say you get a Joseph Magnus cigar blend, and it's a random batch 50, I don't know, and you open it and you're like, this is really good. You look on the label, you see distilled in Kentucky and Indiana. You know that generally it's a blend of 14 to 20-year-old barrels. You're like, holy shit, Kentucky, Indiana. We're talking like MGP 14 to 20. Doesn't matter which age it is in there. That's a great range. And then Kentucky, we don't know where they're getting their barrels. I can't even make an assumption. If I had to guess, like, let's just say Heaven Hill. Let's just say Barton, something like that. And And then they're going into an Armagnac barrel and they're finishing, and it's just phenomenal stuff. But then you see all these batches coming afterwards, and it's like, you try those batches from a different run. Let's say batch 67. It's really good. You're like, okay, I'm not worried about Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend right now or yet. It's really good. So so then it's like, okay, there's always a new bottle. That's the way I see it. But when I taste an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof from 2017, and then I taste today's, to me, it's not about like there's always a new bottle. It's like, shit, we might not ever get back to what it was in 2017. The reason I say that is because if you taste Old Granddad right now, 114, and then you go back to the 80s and 90s and you taste Old Granddad, it has never, ever, ever gotten back to what it was back then. So if it's never going to get back to that quality, which is subjective, then it does worry me. And even if I like the whiskey of today, it's like, wow, if what we had 10 years ago, 5, 3, 17 years ago, whatever the number is, if it was that much better for that particular whiskey from that distillery, from that line, based on these factors, that's the whiskey that we should aim towards, and we're just never going to get there again. That's really disheartening to me. Young Pei Cheng, I don't think I've ever had a Wilderness Trail. I've avoided it because I never heard great things. Maybe I should try it. But that's a brand that is setting the stage for the future, poised to do good things, assuming the distillate is good, the barrel quality is good, and that it ages well over time, and they keep enough old barrels in their warehouses. I think it could be great. Ling of Kentucky is what everyone dreams. Yeah, George C. Stagg, William Llewellyn, Pappy taste like before they taste them and are disappointed. Truly next level bourbon in my book. Can't wait to taste your bottle, Cam. Yeah. They are very different. I've so far had 4 different barrels of King of Kentucky, 3 from 2021 and 1 from 2020. Surprisingly, everyone says the 2020 is not as good in general. The 2020 barrel I had exceeds the bottle I have plus the 2 samples I have. Either way, they're all unbelievably good. And I think you're right. Like, I've had a few years of George T. Stagg. I've had 1 year of William Llewellyn, and Pappy. I've never had a Pappy. I've only had Lot B. So I can't speak to that. But when I think of like a highly aged, high proof Kentucky bourbon, the profile when I drink King of Kentucky, I'm like, yep, that's it. That's the one. Thank you, Trevor. I'm just shooting from the hip right now, man. It's like, what time is it? Oh my God, it's 12:45. This is almost a 3-hour stream. And here I am just too tipsy to be talking on this intelligently. Link of Kentucky. Yes, Aiden, 100% agree. And the person, maybe this is just because I'm a fan of Nancy Fraley, but the person that is changing the game with craft distilleries is Nancy Fraley. Like the J. Henry and Sons Armagnac finished blend of 6 to 9-year-old whiskeys, La Flamme, that she did with J. Henry and Sons. That is a top craft bottle for me. So like Nancy Fraley getting around to these different distilleries and blending their stuff, she's going to be a big player in bringing this to life and showcasing these craft distilleries. But Driftless, fantastic. Sagamore, I'm a fan of their MGP stuff. I didn't try their bottled and bond of their own distillate, so I don't know. I don't really like their double oaks, no offense. Starlight, fantastic. I did not get the Mash and Journey Wilderness Trail Rye pick. No. Yes, Aiden, you're right. Like, if we're not talking about singular distilleries or single distilleries, yes, there is always a new bottle to chase. So in that way, I am hopeful and refreshed and optimistic, because you're right. Like, for me, I saw Russell's 13 happen. We've seen the best of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof to this point. Sourced MGP, we've seen the best to this point because no one's getting 10 to 12-year-old barrels anymore. And so recently, my investment, I don't mean in a flipping way, I just mean for myself. My investment has been Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. I bought like 8 bottles on secondary. God forbid, that's a lot of money, but I said, let's do this. I've bought like 12 bottles of old Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And, it's like there is always something next, but it worries me what that will be in the next 5 years. Like, if it's only going to be marginal increases, or even just staying the same, or even decreasing, but us being so used to things getting exponentially worse that a slight decrease is okay. I don't want that. I want the industry to grow and be better every day. Matt, this is thank you for saying this. This is something that Sarah tells me all the time. It's like, I'll sit down and have like a bunch of pours, and we're just like going at it on a topic that I should not be able to talk about at that point. Okay, I'm gonna should I tell you guys this story? Let me just read the rest of the comments in the chat. I may or may not go deep and shameful here, but let me read the rest of the comments. Thank you, David. Yeah. I'm passionate, a little liquored up, and trying to talk intelligently about what I feel. Oh, I did not know this. Yeah, I mean, American whiskey exports, if you guys didn't see the articles kind of going around 2 or 3 weeks ago, American whiskey exports have finally picked back up. Not to pre-COVID levels just yet, but they're very, very close. The exports are increasing again. I think given one more year, they're going to be back to the level that they were at. I did not know we expanded BTAC into the Asian markets, which is great for Asia, but disastrous for us, for the people that are like, holding our breath waiting for this stuff. Matt, Carissa calls me on being shit-faced when I'm basically sober. She says I have a tell. That's pretty funny. Let's see. Young Pei Chang. I bought my first case of Russell Picks because they were from Warehouse K, and I was floored from the one Ben sent me. That's true, Aiden. Yeah. I fall. Matt's tell us that he just falls down the stairs. It's like, oh, shit, I fell. Big League, yeah, La Flamme is insane. It is insanely good. Interesting. Young Pei Chang, good, full of good questions, and insight and comments. Man, what might prevent American malts from getting bigger? The only thing in my book that there are two. One is perception. When you think of a malt whiskey, single malt whiskey, everybody thinks of Scotland, and why shouldn't they? There's hundreds years history there, multi-hundred years with history of Scotch single malt whiskey going on there. And you look at a brand, I mean, you look at mainstay brands, let's say Macallan, which has certainly fallen off over the last 10 to 20 years. But you look at Springbank, you look at, Glenmorangie, you look at Glenfiddich, Glenlivet, Aberlour, a lot of these brands, there are so many in Scotland. And the brands that don't get any hype. Linkwood, Colila, things that are certainly featured in blends. Perception is one. But number two is quality. If American malts want to start earning their keep in the market, they don't need to just be as good as Scotch single malts. They have to be better because American single malts are not as old. So it's like, okay, we're going to take this 5 to 7 year American single malt and pit it against a standard offering. Glenmorangie 10, Glenlivet 12, Glenfiddich 15. Can it hold up? They have to be better. They have to exceed expectation. So perception and quality are the only two things that are going to prevent them from getting bigger. And then after that, it's just fantastic marketing. If your product is amazing, the quality is there, you're reaching the right people. Now we need to reach more people. We just need to have better marketing and branding. And I don't think, look, what distilleries do we talk about? Like American single malts. I'm not big into that scene, but like Westland is the only one that comes to mind. Are people in Scotland thinking about that distillery? I don't know. We need to make them. Yeah, Bigley, great point. We have to realize with the tariff dropping, the European market is now being flooded with bourbon for the first time in several years, right? Many heritage distilleries are buying back stock they sold to middlemen. Yes. So there was a tariff war, particularly like steel imports. Things were, targeted in this. But, the UK, this lingering tariff on whiskeys, yeah, when this goes away, when this starts to fall off, they're going to get flooded with bourbon. We're going to get maybe, hopefully, cheaper prices on Scotch whiskey. So it's another factor. That's a great factor. Great point. I didn't know that. I did not know that. What am I drinking? A122. All right. $25% tariff. That is insane. I actually didn't know that number. All right. Guys, I think I have exhausted all of my bitchings and moanings. Unless there's anything else. There are any other thoughts or questions about what we've talked about, which, let me be clear. I'm not an authority on this stuff. I'm just opinionated. I'm observing what little sliver of the market I know as somebody who is a total outsider. So, please don't take anything I say as fact or as law. Just take it as another opinion based on the facts that I currently know, which could change overnight, which could change my opinion as well. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm more than willing to be wrong. So, Young Pei Cheng, I do have a concert tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Technically, I do not have any other, work until 7:30, but I have a lot of things to get done before then. I have a lot of practicing to do, but no 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. call time in the morning to get to a job or get up and, have any phone calls or meetings or anything. So thankfully, tomorrow I'm good. Okay, Caleb, last thing I'll read here. American malt distilleries need to be patient and age that stuff 10 plus years. Hope they can find a way to make money in the meantime. That's the thing. I don't want to say we're at a disadvantage. No, we can just say it. American malt whiskey, single malt or whatever we're doing, distilleries that are getting into that market to try to compete with Scotch whiskey, they are at a disadvantage because of the things that we've talked about: perception, quality, and in this case, you're pointing out age. Even if we have a hotter climate to age, and we do need to accept the fact that age statements are important, even if they're younger, like 8 years, 10 years, we do need to get there. So a company like Bardstown Bourbon Company is someone that did this correctly, where they started off and they had an incredibly insightful business plan into the future with sourcing, with high capacity for barrels in rick houses that are continuing to be built, with contract distilling. They did everything. Like, every distillery moving forward needs to be like Bardstown Bourbon Company, whether it's for American whiskey like bourbons and ryes or American single malt to try to compete with the Scotch whiskey market. You have to look at what Bardstown Bourbon Company did as a case study and go from there. They are making money on every single, like every avenue, every street corner they can make money on, every way they can market their services. They are doing it, and it's so smart. That's what American single malt whiskey distilleries need to do. Not like, I love single malt whiskey, let me just start distilling my whiskey. Okay, we're going to release it after 2 years. No. Have a solid business plan for the first 6 to 8 years and start releasing your stuff at 4, 6, 8 years old, and do it in a transparent way. Do it in a way that brings people into that distillery, but all the while you need to make money on other stuff. So anyways, guys, sorry, I'm just going off here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the kind words, and I've tasted a lot of whiskey. You can tell I've tasted a lot of whiskey. I will not be back next week on Thursday night. Unfortunately, I have a big show on Saturday the 26th at 3 p.m. So, you might not hear from me, whether it's reviews, Patreon. I will try to get a couple of things up on the Patreon between now and the 26th. No guarantees, because it is a very busy time for me learning some new music. But after the 26th, guys, going to be back here on the 31st with Trev for a blind flight head-to-head from Amy Bohm. And starting in April, we're going to get some full reviews back on the channel, more produced. I'm just excited for it. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Hit that like button on your way out, and I'm out of here. I'm going to, clean this mess up, get to bed. I've got a concert tomorrow night. So cheers. Happy St. Paddy's Day. Hope you're wearing green. And I'll see you guys soon.